What's up, guys? It's David with Crash Out Motorsports. So we're on episode 2, where we're getting into installing the bushings into the subframe. So this is the part where we actually start putting stuff back on. So I'm gonna go through that process with you guys. This should be a shorter video since there's only 4 of them, but I'll still show you the steps of how you get them in, how you press the inner sleeves in, the tools that are required, and then from there, we'll start going into the upper and lower control arms. But in the previous one, we prepped the subframe for all of the installation steps that we're gonna have to take. And so now it's time to start putting this stuff back together. Let's get into it. So the first place we're gonna take a stop to is my freezer here, because I have all of the full tilt boogie racing bushings sitting, and I've had them sitting for a few hours now. This is important. In the instructions, it does say if you want to make the install easier on yourself, you have to put these in the freezer for a few hours. It'll make the bushings contract, make them slightly smaller, so they're easier to fit in to where we got to put them. So I drop them in the freezer. I highly recommend doing this step because going through the instructions, it is a pain to get all of these installed in the various places. So whatever you can do to make this easier, highly recommend doing it, and that includes this step. All right, so here's how this is gonna work. So there are different bushings for the front and rear per the bag. So I've got left on the left, right on the right. Diff sits here. So of course we can deduce. These are the rears, those are the fronts. The tools I'm gonna be using are as follows. So I've got my new rod that I had made, because this one, as I had mentioned earlier, I ate this one up when I was pressing the old ones out. So I tried to make a new one with a carrier bolt, just cut the tip off. And these come in, and these are what are supposed to press out and press in bushings. It comes with the install kit from Full Tilt Boogie Racing, these 2 big washers right here. So I have this rod that I have custom made, and then we're going to have the nice easy rubber hammer, or if it needs more convincing, I'm gonna go ahead and use this right here. But if I have to use this, I'm going to, of course, use some piece of wood or something in between it and the bushing so that I do not damage any of the parts. So let me go ahead and pull them out of the freezer and let's get to it. All right, so these are what we're putting in. We have the front one here, the rear one here. You can see that they have this little flange bottom part to help with the orientation, because inside you can also, I know it's hard to see it, you can't see it really, but that little line right there, this is a flange right here. So that it's wider here, thinner here, and that also is reflected instead of the orientation of this being thicker towards the bottom and thinner towards the top. So that's how you know you're putting it in correctly. So here we are starting with the rear. Just take it, slide it in. You'll feel it stop. And then we'll grab our hammer over here and just give her a tap. Hold. And she's in. Yep, and that's how you know she's looking good. Proper orientation, flush. And then we're gonna wash her and repeat with the front. And this is what it looks like with all of them in. So your proper orientation, all flush. Now, let's move on to the inner sleeves that are aluminum. All right, so now we're gonna go on ahead and we're gonna install the aluminum sleeve here. We're gonna go this way. So, I've got my tool set up with nut, washer, big washer. That's how that looks. Try to put different angles. And we're gonna slide that through. I try to back the bolt to as few threads as possible on that side, because now we're going to install this portion here, which is going to slide over. And then we are going to do big washer, little washer. Make sure that's all being held together. And bolt. Like so. Now you want to make sure that you get the sleeve lined up as perfect, is not perfectly, but as straight as possible. And I also like to center my big washers just to minimize any chance of flexion on this rod. And tighten it down as best as I can. Verify fitment. Now I'm using a 17 on this side, 17 ratchet, and an 11/16 wrench. And now all we're gonna do is we're gonna spin this. Oh, wait, there we go. Yep, if it ever comes loose, if it does this to you, don't freak out. Just reset, recalibrate. There we go. Now I'm only going to tighten the wrench, and I won't make you guys sit through as I do this all the way through, but I'll go ahead and I'll run this, and then I will show you guys the finished product when it is done. And she's in. So, flush against the outer bushing, flush on both sides. And when this is all said and done, it's going to look like this. Nice and flush and sitting inside. Now, of note, I will say this, please use anti-seize on these threads because this is a bit of a tougher job. And this gets hot, and this one spins. I had issues with this spinning because it was going in on this side as opposed to just pressing inward here. So if that happens, it's okay. You can back this back off, throw this one deeper down so that you can go on and continue to get it in. And it eventually is gonna get to a point where it has nowhere to go but inward if that happens. But please make sure that when you do this, you're using anti-seize on these threads, because if this rod goes bad, it is not the most fun thing to have to go to the Lowe's store to find a replacement. Now just a quick tidbit. So when I did this on the left-hand side, I used the big washer that pushed, so the small one, which meant this spun as I was doing it. Whereas after watching the video from Full Tilt Boogie Racing, they used a smaller side to actually do the pushing, and going through that process, it actually did not spin at all on me as I was tightening this down. So watch me make the mistake so you don't have to. Use the smaller one that push it, and then use the bigger one to hold it in place. This won't go anywhere, this stays still. Makes it a lot easier, less stressful. All right, and we are all done. See? Nice and pressed in, good to go on both the fronts as well as the rears. So that is how you set up the subframe with its bushings. Next, we're gonna move into control arms, upper and lower, and that's slightly more complex because we have drilling to do, but that's for next video. I'm excited because this is starting to come together. If you guys have any questions about what has been going on thus far, any steps that I've taken that may be a little ambiguous, please drop them in the comments, because I'll go ahead and watch those to make sure that if there's anything that is unclear, I can answer those questions promptly to get you guys back into being productive and getting the build finished. All right, guys, until next episode.